A Nightmare on Elm Street was released in 1984 and forever changed the slasher genre. Moviegoers were introduced to a new cinematic villain, Freddy Krueger, with the second installment heavily dividing moviegoers, and the third sequel elevating Freddy Krueger to cult status. This resulted in Nightmare on Elm Street 4 being the highest grossing of the entire series. But with the massive success and cult following came a great price for the character. This is how A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, was the rise and fall of Freddy Krueger. Directed by Renny Harlin and released in August of 1988, Nightmare set out to capitalize on the success of 3 and be the biggest nightmare yet by doubling down, showcasing Freddy Krueger. This approach led to some of the biggest problems going forward in the series. And I get it, the studios wanted to make money, and Freddy was definitely making them money. So for the studio, it was a no-brainer. More Freddy. And director Renny Harlin gave him that. This led to a lot of stuff not making sense in Nightmare 4. Whereas 3 had a definitive ending to Freddy, technically, 4 pretty much did whatever it wanted, just for the sake of bringing Freddy back, and not even in a dream logic, in reality and continuity type of way. It just was all over the place. This film was solely designed to be a crowd pleaser, so most things that happened in it were just to get reactions out of the crowd and give them what they wanted, Freddy. So we get things like weird transition shots of a locker being carved with Freddy's claws in it for no reason, and they're not even in the dream world. It's just there. Go back and look at it. The resurrection of Freddy himself made absolutely no sense, but it was designed, again, to get the crowd excited. All of that can be overlooked, though, because it was done for aesthetics and just beats. The biggest problem of all is the treatment of Freddy himself. Again, going back to part 3, that really set Freddy up with having a personality, being three-dimensional, and he was uncomfortably funny. Whereas in 4, he became almost like an anti-hero. He was just too funny. And Renny Harlin himself said he wanted to make Freddy Krueger a cool guy, like a James Bond type character. And that was just a big mistake. Freddy was too dark of a character to light them up to the point where you went from being excited to see him do bad things to almost rooting for the character. And once that was established with Freddy, there was just no turning back. Financially, Nightmare 4 was the most successful of the original 7 films. And this led to a short-lived TV show, toys, Freddy rap songs, and all kinds of just silly things. And all of this just got so far away from what made Freddy work in the first place, being a scary monster. And the later sequels struggled trying to find that balance of being funny Freddy, and even Wes Craven tried to bring it back from New Nightmare and make Freddy just scary again, and audience just won't buy in it. Freddy vs. Jason was probably the closest we got to like a real Freddy again, and even he was still had a lot of comedic elements. And that film itself was pretty much self-aware. But decades had passed and people moved on to different franchises, and horror just changed. So Freddy was just stuck. 2010, they tried to bring Freddy back in a remake, which was pretty much a straightforward film. It was all horror. Freddy wasn't funny anymore. But then lies the problem. People wanted to kind of see funny elements in Freddy. So that didn't go over well at all. So what does that mean for Freddy going into the future? Who knows? With remakes getting better now and people wanting to revisit these old franchises, I think there's a chance Freddy can come back. But it's going to have to be something different. It's going to have to be so far removed from what we've seen before that it might put some people off. But maybe that's what it takes to get Freddy back into people's conscience again and be a fan favorite. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Nightmare on Elm Street 4. It's a fun movie. But it is the film where we saw a tonal shift in not only Freddy, but the entire franchise. Like the video? Please like and subscribe.